This is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We're in San Luis Obispo today. We are joined by a member of the Board of Supervisors. She is the Vice Chair. Her name is Lynn Compton. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. I'd like to speak with you about lots of topics, but let's start with water. Okay. Causing a lot of anxiety for all Californians, including and especially in San Luis Obispo, a fairly ag-reliant county. Recently, the Board of Supervisors looked at whether water could leave the county.
Yes, we did, and
what was the answer?
We did get some rain this morning, so
the
water situation might be turning around.
Amen.
Yes. So what we decided to do, there was a lot of anxiety here, and as you've probably followed, some areas in the Central Valley, people are determining that their water, the value of water on their property, is more valuable than their crops.
Could you imagine?
So they're selling their water.
Could you imagine?
No, I can't.
You're right.
So there were people concerned here that, I mean, we have a Paso Robles basin that's been valued at $3 billion.
Come on.
3 billion with a B. So we developed an ordinance that basically, we were told by our legal department you could not prevent people from taking water out of the basin and restrict, you could restrict it, but you couldn't make it illegal.
I see.
So we put into place an ordinance that severely restricts moving water out of basins, out of the county, etc. So a person would have to apply for a permit. It will be onerous and expensive to do so, but we can track it that way. And so it should calm the fears about that happening in the future.
How was that received? Because I can see
really with very little fanfare.
Left, right, and center could be complaining.
There wasn't. I think people were clamoring for it. I think it was put into place, and it's just satisfied those concerns and questions whether it would happen. But really, very little fanfare. Haven't had too many questions after the fact. I haven't had any complaints in my office.
Are other counties doing the same?
Other counties do have similar ordinances, so we looked at ordinances in other counties when we developed ours.
I want to talk also about what's known as desalination.
Desal, yes.
And we know there's been a lot of discussion about it. San Diego, the Carlsbad plant is opening. Cambria has a hybrid plant.
Yes.
Santa Barbara's going to be opening a plant. But now you have, in this community, you have Diablo Canyon, a nuclear power plant. How is desal involved in nuclear power?
It's kind of unusual.
Yes.
This is something that I advocated when I ran the campaign. And we are right here on the coast. It doesn't make sense to me not to look at that as an option. I'm not saying it can solve all of our problems, but
there's some water on the coast.
Go figure.
There's the Pacific Ocean.
Go figure. So it started kind of interestingly enough with the area surrounding Cambria, and they have a lot of evergreen trees that are dying. They're dying for several reasons. They're at the end of about a 100-year life cycle. The drought has severely stressed them, and there's a beetle that's infested the trees. So it's a big fire hazard there. So PG&E and Diablo Canyon have a desal facility on their property, right on the ocean, and they have the potential to produce 1.5 million gallons a day. They only use about 40% of that capacity a day, but they have the permit and potential to do that.
And I understand that the water they use or they desalinate is just for their use.
For their own facility, for their plant.
You brought up Cambria, and I guess there's a deal now to allow fire to access some of that water. Is that right?
So they came to us and said, would you want to use this water in the event of an emergency? And we said, yes, we would. So we negotiated a contract with them, and it's a 5-year contract. But those discussions really started then the process to look at further solutions with desal. So PG&E then said, well, what do you think? Would you have any interest in looking at it for other situations outside of this emergency situation?
Yes, please.
Yes. So we are going ahead. There needs to be a pipeline built from their facility down to Avila, and it's about a 7-mile pipeline. It's going to cost about $1 million a mile, which they believe they can get grants for.
Oh, really?
Once you tie into Avila, then you have access to filling different aquifers and basins throughout the county. The most logical one is actually in my district. It's Lopez Lake.
Right.
And there's infrastructure in place with pipes already there to do that. So the hope is if they get these grants, they can work on the pipeline down to Avila, then replenish Lopez Lake, which feeds all of South County.
That's huge.
It is. It's not quite so feasible to go north with the pipeline. It's further. It's about 10 miles.
I see.
If you go east to San Luis Obispo, you go over some mountains, so it's more expensive.
Harder.
So I feel blessed if
you
can come down to my
County.
area, and we want it down there. So that's what we're looking at right now, and it's actually, when you tour PG&E's facility, it's not a very big facility. The footprint is pretty small, and even to expand it, it's still a pretty small footprint. So.
And what's nice about this project, the wrap on desal, if there is one, is it's expensive, it's energy intensive, it emits greenhouse gases. They use nuclear power.
I know you don't have any of that there. And you know, we did have some concern, and people spoke up and said, you know, this will increase my rates if I'm a customer of PG&E. And PG&E, on the record, assured us that that's not the case. If you're a ratepayer, it will not increase your rates.
And what's also nice is there seems to be unanimity on the board. Adam Hill is supportive. You're supportive. I mean, it doesn't seem as if this has broken down on partisan lines. No, it was a unanimous decision.
It was unanimous. And I mean, there are detractors of the project. There are people who want PG&E and Diablo Canyon shut down.
Well, that's a whole other conversation.
Right, and I mean, they are going through relicensing. I looked at it as, is this something that they can do to help the county? Is it something we need? It's something that we need. And my concern is, you know, the desal discussion comes off the table if we have a couple of years of rain and we look like we're getting out there.
But we shouldn't do that. I mean, you know what happened in Santa Barbara.
That's right. They mothballed it.
Exactly. And now they're bringing it back.
Right. So so hopefully I know we're all in agreement to go forward with that. Hopefully it will be feasible and we can proceed.
So I think you know I live in Southern California. And over Labor Day, I brought my wife up to San Luis Obispo County. We spent the whole weekend.
Did you go wine tasting?
We did.
Okay.
We had an absolute blast. Yeah. The entire weekend was such a treat.
So move up here.
It could happen. It could happen. But my point is that San Luis Obispo is a crown jewel in our state and hidden from some people's minds. And I'm wondering, what can you all do to market to the world that San Luis Obispo is here, and we'd love to have Californians, because think about it, you're dead set in between San Francisco and Los Angeles.
We are. Yeah, and there's pros and cons to doing that. We kind of like being a little undiscovered.
I agree.
But one of the things the board did this year was we established what's called a tourism marketing district. And so when we looked at tourism is a huge part of our economy here. Agriculture and tourism are the two biggest sectors of the economy here. So we looked at the counties north of us and the counties south of us and comparable
Santa Barbara,
counties.
Monterey.
Right, but comparable counties like you know, the Napa, Sonoma area. And what we found was the average night per stay in San Luis Obispo was 1.7 nights when people come to the county versus Monterey and Santa Barbara County. It was substantially more, like 2 or over 2. So the people that are key in that industry got together and said, why is that? Why is it that people are staying longer when they come to other counties that are comparable to ours? And what they found was we weren't doing a very good job of branding our county where other counties were. So people recognized, like you did, this area for wine tasting, and they would say go to Paso Robles and wine taste. Then they would come back on a different visit and maybe visit the dunes or come back.
There's so much to do.
But they didn't do it all in one trip, whereas they would do it in one trip in comparable counties. So by forming this tourism marketing district, we hope that it will bring in about $2.6 million a year. The people that come and stay in the hotels pay a 1% assessment, so $1 on $100.
In the scheme of things,
it goes into this big pot, I guess, of money to brand the county and to say, hey, look, come here and visit and do these things in northern San Luis County, do these things in southern San Luis Obispo County. And so I'm really excited about that. I think that will help our tourism business.
So it really is, in a lot of ways, so easily accessible. I mean, either from north or south. And like you said, there are so many different things that one can do. Sure, wine tasting. We actually went wine tasting in San Luis Obispo. We didn't go to Paso.
Okay.
And it was as wonderful as you can imagine.
It is.
But there are the missions. We went to the missions, which are beautiful. There are the dunes like you described. And
there's shopping.
There's a great, downtown Higuera.
Great.
Thursday nights.
Yeah.
So much to do. Obviously, I'm a fan of San Luis Obispo County. Lynn, thank you so much for joining us. Her name is Lynn Compton. She is a member of the Board of Supervisors in San Luis Obispo County. If you want to watch more episodes of our program, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/charterlocal edition. My name is Brad Pomerance. Thank you so much for joining us.